ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here today. I want to remind you that no matter where you've been, no matter what you've been through, God has a plan for every piece of your life. He is the master at taking what seems broken and turning it into something beautiful. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Life is full of challenges, and there are moments when it feels like the weight of the world is pressing down on us. In those times, it's easy to think we've been left behind, forgotten, or that the struggles we face are unfair. But I want to encourage you today, what you see as a setback may actually be the very thing positioning you for something greater. Sometimes the obstacles that appear in our path aren't there to defeat us, but to strengthen us, to prepare us for the amazing things that God has in store. Consider the times in your life when things didn't go as planned. Maybe you lost a job, faced a broken relationship, or endured a health challenge that shook your faith. In those moments, it's natural to feel discouraged and wonder why it's happening. But think about this. Every great story has moments of struggle before the triumph. It's in the setbacks that we develop resilience, patience, and the determination to rise stronger than before. You may not see it right now, but the challenges you're facing are shaping you in ways you can't even imagine. They're teaching you lessons, building character, and preparing you for the opportunities ahead. When setbacks come, it's easy to get stuck in a mindset of defeat. We might start saying things like, why me? Why now? But instead of asking why, start of asking what? What can I learn from this? What is this situation trying to teach me? When you shift your perspective, you begin to see setbacks as opportunities to grow. That difficult situation might just be the training ground for the next level of your destiny. God never allows anything into our lives without purpose. Even when it feels like the world is falling apart, He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating a comeback that will far surpass anything you've lost. Think about a seed planted in the soil. For a time, it looks like nothing is happening. In fact, it's buried, covered in dirt, and left in darkness. But beneath the surface, there's a process taking place. The seed is germinating, its roots are spreading, and it's preparing to break through the ground. That seed's growth is a beautiful picture of what happens in our lives. The dirt, the darkness, and the waiting may feel like setbacks, but they're necessary for the growth that's about to come. What looks like being buried is actually being planted for something greater. Throughout history, some of the greatest comebacks have come out of the most significant setbacks. Think of people who have faced tremendous obstacles only to rise above them in ways no one expected. Every story of victory is a reminder that setbacks are temporary. They are not the end of the story. They're a chapter, a moment in time, but they do not define your future. What defines you is how you respond to those challenges. Do you give up, or do you choose to keep believing, to keep trusting, and to keep moving forward? Sometimes the reason for a setback isn't clear until much later. In the moment, it may feel confusing and unfair. But as time goes on, you begin to see how all the pieces fit together. That job you didn't opened the door for a better opportunity. That relationship that ended made room for one that brought true joy and fulfillment. The disappointment you faced gave you a new perspective that allowed you to appreciate what you have even more. In hindsight, you can often see how God was working things out for your good all along. When life knocks you down, it's not the end. It's a chance to rise stronger and wiser than before. Think of it like a slingshot. The further it's pulled back, the greater the force it has when it's released. Your setbacks may feel like you're being pulled backward, but they're setting you up to be launched in something amazing. The key is not to lose faith in the pulling back process. Trust that the release is coming, and when it does, you'll move forward with power and purpose. Faith is what carries you through the setbacks. It's the belief that even when you can't see it, something better is on the horizon. It's choosing to keep moving even when the path ahead isn't clear. And it's remembering that you are never alone in your struggles. God is with you every step of the way, guiding you, strengthening you, and preparing you for the comeback He has planned. No matter how difficult the setback, it is not the end of your story. It's simply a pause, a momentary challenge that will ultimately lead to growth and triumph. Keep believing, keep trusting, and know that your comeback is on the way. Your struggles are the seeds of your strength. Life is not without its challenges, and often it's the very difficulties we face that have the power to shape us into who we are meant to be. Struggles can feel overwhelming, and in the middle of them, it's tempting to wish them away. But the truth is, those struggles are not there to break you, they are there to build you. Every hardship you face has the potential to develop qualities in you that would never emerge without the pressure of adversity. Think about how strength is built in the physical sense. When you work out and lift weights, your muscles go through a process of stress and strain. That strain causes tiny tears in the muscle fibers, and as they heal, they grow back stronger than before. The same principle applies to our inner strength. The struggles you face may feel like they're tearing you apart, but they're actually preparing you for something greater. They're stretching your capacity, growing your resilience, and shaping you into a stronger version of yourself. It's natural to want to avoid difficulties. No one enjoys the pain of a struggle, but it's often in those moments of discomfort that the greatest transformation takes place. When life feels easy, we don't tend to grow as much. Comfort zones don't challenge us. They don't force us to dig deep, to find solutions, or to rely on faith, but struggles do. They push us to look beyond ourselves, to lean into the strength that comes from God, and to discover capabilities we didn't know we had. Consider the story of a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. It's a struggle for the butterfly to break free. The process looks exhausting and even painful, but that struggle is essential. It's what strengthens the butterfly's wings, giving it the ability to fly. Without the struggle, the wings wouldn't develop properly, and the butterfly wouldn't be able to fulfill its purpose. In the same way, the struggles you face are not there to harm you. They are preparing you to soar. They are equipping you with the strength you'll need for the journey ahead. There's something profound about looking back on the struggles you've overcome. At the time, they may have seemed insurmountable. You might have wondered how you would ever make it through, but now when you reflect on those moments, you realize how much they taught you. They taught you patience when the answer didn't come right away. They taught you perseverance when the road was long and uncertain. They taught you compassion for others going through similar challenges. And most of all, they taught you that you are stronger than you ever thought possible. Struggles are not just about building strength for yourself. They also position you to be a source of strength for others. When you've walked through a valley and come out on the other side, you carry with you a unique perspective and empathy that can inspire and uplift those who are still in their own battles. Your struggles become your testimony, your way of saying, if I can make it through, so can you. There's power in sharing your story and in using what you've learned to help others find hope and courage in their own struggles. Sometimes the strength that comes from struggles isn't just about endurance, it's about transformation. Struggles have a way of reshaping your priorities, refining your character, and redirecting your focus. They strip away the superficial and bring clarity to what truly matters. They force you to confront fears, let go of what's holding you back, and step into a new level of purpose. What you thought was a setback becomes a catalyst for change, and what you thought would defeat you becomes the very thing that propels you forward. It's important to remember that strength doesn't always look like being invincible. Sometimes strength is found in vulnerability, in admitting that you need help, or in choosing to keep going even when you feel weak. Struggles remind us that we don't have to do it all on our own. They teach us to rely on God's strength, which is made perfect in our weakness. When we stop trying to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders and instead place our trust in Him, we find a strength that beyond anything we can muster on our own. The beauty of struggles is that they don't just build strength, they reveal it. They uncover the reserves of courage, determination, and faith that have been within you all along. They show you what you're truly capable of and remind you that with God on your side, there's nothing you can't overcome. Every struggle you face is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the blessings that are yet to come. God can use your pain to bring someone else's healing. Pain is a universal experience. We all go through moments in life that leave us broken, confused, and wondering why things happen the way they did. While it's hard to see in the moment, the truth is that your pain has a purpose far greater than you might imagine. It's not just about what you endure, it's about what comes from it. God has a way of taking even the most difficult and painful experiences and using them as a source of hope and healing for others. When you're in the midst of pain, it can feel isolating. You might think no one understands what you're going through or that your suffering is in vain. But often the very things that break you are the things that connect you most deeply to others. Pain has a way of breaking down barriers and creating a sense of empathy that nothing else can. When you've walked through a difficult path, you gain an understanding and compassion for others who are on a similar journey. You're able to say, I've been there and I know how it feels. That connection is powerful. It brings comfort to others in a way that nothing else can. Your pain becomes a bridge. It's a way for you to reach people who might otherwise feel unreachable. When someone is hurting, they don't always need advice or solutions. What they need most is to know they're not alone, that someone understands what they're going through. Your experiences, the things you've overcome, become the proof that healing is possible. They give others the courage to keep going because they see in you the evidence that there is life beyond the pain. It's a way of saying, if I made it through, so can you. Think about the times when you felt most encouraged by someone else's story. Maybe it was someone who battled an illness, overcame addiction, or found peace after a devastating loss. Their story didn't diminish their pain, but it gave you hope because it showed that healing and redemption are possible. That's the gift your pain can offer others. It becomes a light in the darkness, a testimony to the fact that no matter how difficult things get, there is always a way forward. Pain often prepares us to fulfill a greater purpose. It sharpens our focus, teaches us lessons we couldn't learn any other way, and deepens our faith. The lessons you learn through pain aren't just for you, they're meant to be shared. They equip you to speak into the lives of others with authenticity and wisdom. You're able to meet people where they are, not from a place of judgment or superiority, but from a place of understanding and love. When you've walked through the fire and come out on the other side, you carry with you the ability to guide others through their own struggles. It's important to remember that God doesn't waste anything, not even your pain. Every tear, every heartbreak, and every setback can be used for a greater good. Sometimes the very thing you thought would destroy you becomes the thing that transforms you. It becomes a part of your story, not as a reminder of what you lost, but as a testament to what you've gained. It's through the scars of your pain that God's grace shines the brightest. Those scars become a symbol of healing and a reminder that you've overcome something that once seemed insurmountable. Pain also has a way of refining your character. It strips away the unnecessary, humbles you, and reminds you of what truly matters. When you allow God to use your pain, it becomes more than just an experience you endure. It becomes a tool for growth and transformation. It molds you into someone who can stand strong in the face of adversity and someone who can inspire others to do the same. Your pain doesn't define you, but it does shape you in ways that prepare you to make a difference in the lives of others. When you look at your pain through the lens of purpose, it takes on a new meaning. It's no longer just something you survive, it's something you can use to help others survive. It gives you a story to tell, a message of hope to share. It reminds you that even in the hardest moments, God is at work, using your experiences to bring light to someone else's darkness. You may never know the full impact your story has on others, but rest assured, every time you share your journey, you plant seeds of hope, healing, and transformation. Your pain can be the key that unlocks healing for someone else. It can give them the strength to face their own struggles and the courage to believe that better days are ahead. It's a reminder that we're all connected, that our lives intersect in ways that allow us to lift each other up. Encourage one another and show the world that no pain is wasted when placed in God's hands. What you've been through becomes the foundation for the hope you offer others. It's a gift that keeps giving, a way of turning something difficult into something beautiful and meaningful. What feels like a delay is not a denial, it's divine preparation. Life often doesn't unfold the way we expect it to. We set goals, make plans, and envision a timeline for how everything will happen. But then reality sets in, and we find ourselves waiting, wondering, and sometimes even doubting if the promises we've held on to will ever come to pass. It can be frustrating when doors seem closed, when opportunities don't materialize, or when our dreams seem just out of reach. But I want to encourage you today, delays are not denials. They are often God's way of preparing you for what's ahead. When we're in the waiting season, it's easy to feel like nothing is happening. We look around and see others achieving their goals, moving forward, and living the life we desire. And we wonder, what about me? But what we often fail to see is that during those times of waiting, God is working behind the scenes. He's aligning circumstances, preparing opportunities, and most importantly, preparing us. If we receive something too soon, we might not be ready to handle it. A blessing given prematurely can feel like a burden. God's delays are not meant to withhold good things from us, but to ensure we are fully equipped to receive them. Think about a farmer who plants seeds in the soil. There's a period of waiting before the harvest comes. The farmer doesn't dig up the seeds to check if they're growing. Instead, they trust the process, knowing that growth is taking place even when it's not visible. In the same way, God uses seasons of delay to grow us, strengthen us, and refine us. It's in those times of waiting that we develop patience, resilience, and trust. We learn to rely not on our own timing, but on His perfect plan. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually protection. There may be things in our path that we can't see, but God in His infinite wisdom knows what's ahead. He might be shielding us from something that isn't right for us or redirecting us towards something even better. The closed doors we face aren't meant to discourage us, they're meant to guide us. When one door closes, it's often because God has something greater waiting on the other side. The challenge is to keep moving forward, trusting that each step is part of a bigger picture. Delays also give us the opportunity to grow in ways we wouldn't otherwise. They teach us to appreciate the journey, to find joy in the process, and to value the lessons along the way. It's during the waiting season that our character is developed. We learn to be faithful with what we have, to steward the little things well, and to prepare for the greater things to come. Those moments of waiting are not wasted. They're essential for shaping us into the people we need to be for the next chapter of our lives. Think about the stories of people who achieve great things. Rarely do you hear about instant success. Instead, you hear about the years of preparation, the times when they had to persevere through challenges, and the moments when they wanted to give up but chose to keep going. Those delays weren't setbacks, they were setups for the success that was to come. They were seasons of preparation that equipped them to handle the responsibilities and opportunities that awaited them. It's also important to remember that God's timing is not our timing. What we see as a delay, He sees as a divine appointment. He knows the perfect moment to bring things to pass in our lives. If we rush ahead, we might miss out on the fullness of what He has prepared for us. But when we trust in His timing, we can rest assured that everything will come together in the right way, at the right time. The waiting season is not about inactivity. It's about active preparation, about doing what we can with what we have while trusting Him to handle the rest. Delays test our faith. They challenge us to hold on to hope even when we can't see the outcome. They remind us that our trust isn't in circumstances, but in the one who controls them. It's in the waiting that our faith is stretched, our patience tested, and our dependence on God is deepened. We learn to let go of our need for control and to surrender to His plan, knowing that He always has our best interests at heart. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, God is moving. He's aligning people's circumstances and opportunities in ways we can't see. He's preparing us for the blessings that are on the way. The waiting season is not a waste. It's a time of growth, a time to build our faith, and a time to prepare for the future. Every delay has a purpose, and when the time is right, everything will come together in ways that exceed our expectations. No experience is wasted. It all works together for your good. Life is a journey filled with a mix of highs and lows, victories and setbacks, moments of clarity, and times of confusion. Along the way, we encounter experiences that leave us questioning their purpose. Some moments feel insignificant, others painful, and many just puzzling. Yet there is a profound truth to hold on to. Every experience, no matter how small or difficult, has a role to play in shaping the person you are becoming and in fulfilling the purpose for which you were created. It's easy to look back at certain chapters of your life and wonder why they had to happen. Maybe you've been through seasons of disappointment, loss, or failure. Those moments can feel like detours, like time wasted, or even like mistakes. But what we often fail to see in the moment is that God can use every single part of our story. Even the things that seem like setbacks or failures are woven into the larger picture of our lives. They become stepping stones, lessons, and building blocks for what's to come. Think of a mosaic. Up close, the individual pieces might look random, broken, and out of place. But when you step back, you see how those pieces come together to form a beautiful and intricate picture. That's how life works. The seemingly unrelated or painful moments are not isolated. They're part of a bigger masterpiece. God is the master artist, taking every experience, good and bad, and using it to create something extraordinary. What feels like brokenness becomes beauty when seen through the lens of purpose. Every experience you've had carries a lesson. The successes teach you what's possible, and the failures teach you resilience. The moments of joy remind you of life's beauty, and the moments of sorrow remind you of the strength within you to endure. Even the mundane parts of life, the seasons that feel uneventful or stagnant, are shaping you in ways you may not realize. They're teaching you patience, perseverance, and the value of staying faithful even when progress isn't visible. No moment is wasted when you trust that there's a greater purpose at work. Sometimes the most painful experiences are the ones that teach us the most profound lessons. They refine us, humble us, and deepen our empathy for others. They strip away what doesn't matter and help us focus on what truly does. It's in those moments of pain and challenge that we discover strengths we didn't know we had. We learn to rely on God in ways we never did before, and we find that even in the darkest times, He is there, guiding us and using those experiences to bring about something good. Your experiences also prepare you for what's ahead. The challenges you face today are equipping you for the opportunities of tomorrow. Every skill you've developed, every lesson you've learned, and every trial you've overcome are tools in your toolkit. They're preparing you for the future. Even if you can't see it yet, what you've been through isn't just about you. It's about the people you'll impact, the doors you'll walk through, and the difference you'll make in the world. Your experiences are not wasted. They're investments in your growth and your purpose. Even the parts of your story that you might be tempted to hide, the mistakes, the failures, the moments you wish you could erase, can be used for good. They become part of your testimony, a way to connect with others and show them that they're not alone. Your past doesn't define you, but it does shape you. And when you allow God to use it, it can become a powerful tool for inspiring and encouraging others. What you thought was a mess can become a message, and what you thought was a test can become a testimony. Think about the people in your life who have influenced you the most. Chances are, they're not the ones who had a perfect story, but the ones who overcame challenges, who persevered through difficulties, and who were willing to share their journey. Their experiences, even the hard ones, became a source of wisdom, strength, and encouragement for you. In the same way, your experiences are not just for you, they're meant to be shared, to bring hope and inspiration to others. Life is a process of growth, and growth is rarely linear. There are twists and turns, moments when you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But even those detours are not wasted. They teach you to be flexible, to adapt, and to trust the process. They remind you that success is not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them. Every experience adds depth, perspective, and richness to your story, making you more equipped for the journey ahead. When you look at life this way, you realize that nothing is wasted. The good moments remind you of what's possible. The hard moments strengthen you, and the in-between moments teach you to trust. All of it works together, shaping you into the person you're meant to be and preparing you for the purpose you're meant to fulfill. Even when you can't see the whole picture, you can trust that every piece has its place and that in the end, it will all come together for good. God's timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't align with our plans. In life, we often have our own timelines in mind. We set expectations for when things should happen, when we'll reach our goals, when prayers will be answered, or when breakthroughs will come. But so often, life doesn't unfold according to our schedules, and that can be frustrating, even disheartening. It's in those moments of waiting or uncertainty that we have to remind ourselves that God's timing is never wrong. He sees the bigger picture, orchestrates every detail, and knows exactly when the time is right. When things don't happen as quickly as we'd like, it's easy to question whether God is listening or whether He has forgotten us. We see delays as denials, but they're not. They're often divine delays, designed not to punish us, but to prepare us. Sometimes we're not ready for what we're asking for, and God, in His infinite wisdom, holds back to ensure that when the blessing comes, we'll be equipped to handle it. What feels like a pause is really a process of growth, refinement, and alignment. Think about how nature operates. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. There's a period of germination where the growth happens out of sight, beneath the soil. It may seem like nothing is happening, but all the while the roots are growing deeper, laying the foundation for what's to come. In the same way, God works in the unseen. He's preparing the ground, strengthening the roots, and ensuring that when the time comes, you're ready to flourish. One of the challenges we face is trusting that God's timing is not just perfect, but also better than our own. We live in a world of instant gratification where waiting feels inconvenient and unproductive. But God doesn't operate on our timetable. He's never in a hurry, and He's never late. His plans unfold in a way that aligns perfectly with His purpose for our lives. We may not always understand the timing, but we can trust that He does. His perspective is eternal, and He sees what we cannot. There's a peace that comes when you release the need to control the timing of your life and place it in God's hands. It's not easy to let go, especially when you're eager for things to happen. But faith is about trusting the process even when you can't see the outcome. It's about believing that God is at work even when it feels like nothing is changing. The waiting season is not a wasted season. It's a time for preparation, a time to build your faith, and a time to draw closer to Him. God's timing often aligns with moments we least expect. We can plan and prepare all we want, but sometimes His blessings come in ways and at times that surprise us. That's why it's so important to stay faithful and keep moving forward, even when progress seems slow. You never know when the breakthrough will come. It might happen suddenly after years of waiting, or it might come in a way that's different from what you envisioned, but even better than you imagined. That's the beauty of His timing. It's always for our good, even when we don't realize it in the moment. There's a story in the Bible about Lazarus, a man who was sick and eventually died. Jesus was informed of Lazarus' illness, but didn't go immediately to heal him. By the time Jesus arrived, Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days, and it seemed like it was too late. But Jesus had a greater purpose in His timing. He performed a miracle by raising Lazarus from the dead, showing that God's timing is not bound by human limitations. What seemed like a delay was actually a setup for something far greater display of His power and glory. The same is true in our lives. What we perceive as delays or setbacks are often setups for something bigger. The closed doors, the missed opportunities, and the seasons of waiting are all part of a larger plan. They're positioning us for the right moment, the right opportunity, and the right blessing. If we trust the process and stay faithful, we'll see how it all comes together in ways that exceed our expectations. When you reflect on your life, you'll likely see moments where God's timing was perfect, even if it didn't feel that way at the time. Perhaps you wanted something to happen sooner, but later realized that the delay was a blessing. Maybe you were praying for one thing, and God gave you something even better. Those moments remind us that His ways are higher than ours and that His plans are always for our good. Learning to trust God's timing doesn't mean we stop dreaming or working toward our goals. It means we do what we can with what we have and leave the rest in His hands. It's about staying faithful in the small things, knowing that they're preparing us for the bigger things to come. It's about finding contentment in the present while holding on to hope for the future. And it's about remembering that He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it in His perfect timing. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the truth that God wastes nothing, let us carry this profound assurance with us every moment. Every challenge, every success, and every delay serves a purpose far greater than we can see. The pain you've endured, the seasons of waiting, the moments of triumph, and even the seemingly insignificant experiences all weave together into a story of divine intention. His timing is perfect, His plans are flawless, and His ability to transform every detail into something beautiful is unmatched. When life feels uncertain, remember that God is working behind the scenes, aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. Trust that nothing is wasted. Every tear, every trial, and every triumph is being used to shape you, grow you, and prepare you for the extraordinary purpose He has for your life. So today, stand firm in faith, knowing that you are not forgotten, your experiences are not random, and your waiting is not in vain. Embrace the journey, for you are being prepared for something far greater than you could imagine. Trust that God wastes nothing, and that in His hands, everything will work together for your good.